Your body's going to digest those things and break them down. Now, if you're using excessive amounts of it, where it's not even staying in the muscle and it's going under the skin, and maybe you're getting infections, obviously that's not good for you, right? I mean, we saw Greg Valentino's arm when it exploded, right? I mean, it really didn't explode. What happened is he got a terrible abscess and that ruptured. I created Species Nutrition with one mission in mind: to provide bodybuilders and serious athletes with no-nonsense supplements that work. I put my name and reputation on every bottle of Species Nutrition products. If you want to be your absolute best, join the evolution.
We haven't really touched the topic in quite some time, and that is synthol. More specifically, the safety nature, or I guess how safe it is for you with extended usage. At some point, synthol breaks down into your bloodstream. So the question is it actually safe? And then I'll add to that extended use versus short-term use for synthol.
Right. I used to sell it because the first synthol I ever produced was by Chris Clark, who was a good friend of mine from Germany, and he passed. And then Steve DeLuca had a really good brand, which was Painless Pumps, and I had that for a while on my Dave Palumbo site, and he passed away as well. So there are still brands out there that are available, and what synthol essentially is, is it's the oil without the drug. Now, there are other components of synthol. The real synthols that actually do something have glycoproteins in there, because it's basically what it is it's a positive nutrient partitioning product. So you're putting nutrients directly into the muscle. Now, yes, you get a volumizing effect from the oil or the fatty acid component of the injection, but you're also putting protein in there. And so what it's causing is a hyper feeding response of the muscle, and it seems to have a localized muscle building effect over a long period of time. So initially you get that swelling, you get the volumization, which everyone loves. And then long term, you actually get muscle building if the product contains, the right ingredients. A lot of synthol on the market is just basically sterile oil, or we hope it's sterile oil. So the question is whether you're using a real synthol product that actually has, long-term muscle building effects, or you're just using oil that's volumizing the muscle. Is it dangerous? Theoretically, it's not. Assuming it's sterile, okay, and that's a big, in today's world, who knows if that's really the case. But if you got a product that is sterile, your body is technically using the fats that you're injecting in there as a fuel source. So nothing stays there forever, okay? Now, there might be products that have other crap in it, like silicone and, some of the stuff that Rich Piana used. But for most products, it's an oil-based product. And that just is, it's like putting fats into your body. Your body's going to digest those things and break them down. Now, if you're using excessive amounts of it, where it's not even staying in the muscle and it's going under the skin, and maybe you're getting infections, obviously that's not good for you, right? We saw Greg Valentino's arm when it exploded, right? It really didn't explode. What happened is he got a terrible abscess and that ruptured. So if you're not using sterile technique, if you're overdoing it, it absolutely can be dangerous, just like anything. If you put too much testosterone into your arms, or shoulders, whatever, we see abscesses and we see terrible stuff. Look, I've seen people literally lick the syringe, okay, because they used an old syringe and then injected it. Back in the day, I swear to you that, some people are just not sterile. So assuming sterility is good, and assuming that you're, using a product that is sterile to begin with, I don't think there's any long-term, or even short-term negatives to using it, because there's no drug in it. You're not overdosing on a drug. You're just putting oil into your arm, like I said, or into whatever body part you're doing it in. Do I recommend you just use any haphazard, product out there or make your own? Absolutely not. Are there some decent ones out there? There's still some good products out there. Armand the DB has a product on his website that's pretty good. And there are a couple other ones out there that are reasonable. But once again, understand what you're doing. Don't overdo it.
The question is, does home state weather affect a bodybuilder's dieting strategy? Like, will a bodybuilder who lives in New York be more likely to bulk harder during the fall and winter when they're completely covered up, whereas a bodybuilder, say in Florida or California, might stay leaner year round?
Yeah, I don't know. It might be lifestyle. I mean, I think California people tend to eat a little healthier out there just in general. But yeah, I don't think it matters really, to be honest with you. I think what I found in New York was that we all stayed covered up in the winter because it was so cold, and we didn't really worry about what we looked like. Sometimes when you're in a state where you're in a t-shirt or tank top all the time, you might want to stay leaner just because people are looking at you more. I mean there could be that thing about it. But if real true hardcore bodybuilders don't give a crap about what people think about them. Now, in today's world with social media, there is this aspect of like, hey, if I post pictures and I look like a bag of crap, I'm not going to get as many followers. So a lot of people stay in better shape year round, possibly just to entice more people to come to their social media pages. So that's a possibility. I don't think the state you live in is really necessarily going to dictate how you look or if you're fatter or skinnier. Maybe for the average person, obviously in Wisconsin, people are by definition not as lean as in Florida, or say California, because that's just the way the state goes. And there's a lot of cold weather there, and people figure, well, I'm covered up, no one can see me anyway. But I think for the bodybuilder, we kind of supersede that. I wanted to just mention also the questions from the Dave Palumbo Experience app. The first two questions were excellent, thought-provoking. These are the type of questions we get in the app. If you want to become a member of the Dave Palumbo Experience, you can download it from your Android or iTunes store. It's $29 a month. You get me as your coach in your back pocket. You get all my writings, all my videos I've ever done, all in one place, all my protocols, drug protocols, off-season pre-contest, men, women. It's detoxification protocols, synthol protocols. Everything's there. And we do a Q&A every single week. So I do a separate video. It's almost like an extra Ask Dave just for the app members. Plus, I answer everyone's questions on the app that ask in an open forum. So everyone sees everyone's questions and everyone's answers. It's a great learning tool. We also put up a workout every week. It's a real great value for $29 a month. And if Christmas coming up, the holidays coming up, you're looking to get stocking stuffers for your friends and loved ones. It's a great gift. Thank you. And thank you for supporting it, by the way. We have a lot of members.
Injectable dianabol. Do you stick to the same dosage as the oral form? I've always liked 40 mg of oral D-bol, but want to try injectable as well.
When I used the injectable dianabol back in the day, I would take 25 milligrams every other day. And that worked really well for me. Dankel used to make it. It was a really high-end brand. And it was, I knew the owner who made the stuff, and it was everyone used it back in the day. And I found it literally like 3 times a week, 25 milligrams. I felt crazy pumps on it. It did not affect my appetite one bit. And oral dianabol always kind of didn't kill my appetite, but it blunted it a little bit. The injectable, I did get bloated on it. Was holding more water than normal on that product, but I was strong and I definitely liked it. I wish it was still around. I know some people still say they can get injectable dianabol, but I would highly recommend using that over the pills. And if it is available, I would consider that an acceptable anabolic. Like I always tell you to use testosterone with EQ or testosterone with DECA or testosterone with enanthate off season. Well, I would definitely do it if you have it available. I would do a testosterone with injectable dianabol, for like a 6-8 week mini cycle. I think you get some good results from that.
So earlier we had a question about synthol, and I guess the safety of, using it for extended usage and whether it's asleep in your blood. Site enhancement related. Are there any, I guess, quote unquote, insta-sized products for upper chest and side delts that you would recommend?
Yeah, for deltoids, because you have to take your regular anabolic injections. I always told people just that's an easy, place to put them, side delts. And when you do them in side delts, you want to kind of put it in the front part of the side delt. You don't want to put it toward the rear part, because then it just doesn't look right. You want to have that capped front. So you can put your regular injections in the front part of the side deltoid. I think that's probably best to do there. As far as what was the other place you wanted to know about?
Upper chest and side.
Oh, upper
yeah.
chest.
Yeah,
I've told you guys this before. What I would do with my regular injections, if let's say I was going to take a cc of testosterone for the day, I was going to train chest that day, I would put like a half a cc in each upper inner pec, because that's the place most people are weak, right? Everyone wants to have that size right under their chin, with the pec. So I would put a half cc on each side, about a half inch in, and when I would go to the gym, and I don't think the actual drug was building any muscle in that area, but what it did was it created an inflammation and swelling in that area. So when I was train my chest, I would feel that area contracting better. So it gave me like a better mind muscle connection there, and I think that really helped me build that area, because that's a place that a lot of people just can't feel because it's so underdeveloped. But once you start feeling that area, you can squeeze it better when you're doing your and you don't want to take super wide grip. You want to take like a medium grip, so you hit more of the inner. The closer your grip goes, the more of the inner pec it's going to hit. The wider, the more of the outer pec it's going to hit. It's going to still hit the whole thing, but you can focus down where you want to kind of, direct it. And you don't need to put any more than that in there. You're not trying to volumize that area with a lot of volume, because it's going to look ridiculous. It's going to look lumpy. You're just putting a little bit in there to kind of get your mind connected to that area of your body so that you can train it better.
Question about carb cycling. Do you prefer to do it on a day basis, I guess day-to-day basis, or do you focus on specific days of the week to match the training? Example, 3 days low, 1 day high, or every Monday is a high day?
What I really do with a lot of my guys off seasons, I give them a standard amount of carbs to eat every day, whatever it is, depending on their metabolism. Let's say they're eating 250 grams of carbs a day, together with their 350 grams of protein and their 100 grams of fat, just for instance. And I feel that they're a little flat. Okay, they send me their updates, because I take updates from my clients twice a week, usually, sometimes more. And I see, the person looks really flat and they're not really gaining weight. I'm like, they're probably not eating enough carbs. So I'll do a high day. So I'll say, all right, tomorrow we're going to do 500 grams of carbs. And then I'll get an update like a day or two after that and see how they look. Sometimes that kicks them into gear. It like reloads the glycogen in the muscles that were depleted, and they're fine. And I don't need to continue doing it. Other times I might get updates in 2 days and see, well, they look better. And then 2 days after that, they're flat again. So, well, you know what? I need to up their carbs daily. So instead of doing 250, I might do 275 daily. Some guys need a cheat meal every couple days. If their metabolism is really fast and I know the carbs that I'm adding in are not making it better, they still look the same, then they need a denser, junkier meal. So I'll give them a burger and fries, 8-ounce burger and fries, and see how they look the next day. And a lot of times that fixes the problem. And so some guys, I have to do that 2-3 times a week, sometimes more. So you have to kind of play around with what works. You can't just say knee jerk, all right, I'm going to give them this many carbs one day, the next day I'm going to do higher, and then I'm going to drop that. You play with them. I think a standard amount every day is better, because then you can just play with certain days of the week. Whereas if you're always varying the carbs, you don't really know what's working. All right, well, they look flat. Does that mean that I should raise the low day or give them another high day? It's like too complicated. I think if you have everything be pretty much set every day, and then you play with the days according to how they look, because sometimes you get it perfect. Like, I give them a certain amount, I don't have to touch the diet at all. They're gaining consistently and they look good. They're full and not overly full. And so I'm like, hey, this is great. That's just the way I do it. I don't think you have to. I think when you start making things too complicated, it's hard to account for all the variables and to figure out what's working and not working. That's just me, though.